Common values, common goals, common sense. The Common Sense Podcast with Semi Bird.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 25 of Common Sense with Semi Bird, candidate for Washington State Governor. And I got to tell you, there's a lot going on. But as always, thank you all so very much for tuning in. We are streaming live on Twitter, X, Facebook, Instagram. No. Yes, maybe soon. YouTube and Rumble. Okay, I got that right. At least I hope I did. As always, thank you so much to our supporters, my team. Love you guys. We have one of our team members and his family are up camping right now and sending pictures back, which I think is immeasurably cruel. But we're glad they're taking a much needed rest. You know, when you're doing something like this, you're investing not only yourself, but your families in this. And certainly my family's out there supporting us, doing the best that they can. And it's not easy. I think you guys understand that. But to our supporters, you guys are making this or breaking it. It's up to us. It's up to you. That's why we do these podcasts every single week. And we talk about different issues. We field calls. Well, I get the calls during the week. And sometimes you guys ask me questions and I note them down, commit them to memory, and then we discuss them here. We take inquiries or questions via email. Typically have them printed. We're having technical difficulties in the printer, which is okay. I have email, so I've accessed my email messages, and so I'll bring those up in a little bit. It'll be on my screen, so I'll do that. We also have live streaming messages on to the left. We have a box with, feeds from all those different platforms I described earlier, and so it's a little box with a lot of messages, and so if you guys have questions for me, please contain them. Put a question at the beginning of your message and a question at the end of your message so that I know there's a question there, because there's so many and there's a lot of information to get through. And so sending love to everyone. You guys, it's not easy. And I will tell you, politics is evil. And they're going to be coming out with another new hit piece. I'm not going to disclose that because I promised the individual who reached out to me today that I'm going to get them more information and that I will not disclose their hit piece until they put it out first. And my word is important to me, so I'm not going to talk about it until they do it. Don't worry. There are no felonies. Never had one. Never will. No more misdemeanors. We've got one. One was enough. And we're going to leave it at that. But there's no depth to how low people will go for politics. It shouldn't be that way. But I want you to think of something. You can blame others. You can blame the media. You can blame the other candidates. You can blame anybody you want to. I can, right? We can blame. Blame is a victim behavior, but at the end of the day, the decision lies with you, the voter. It's up to us. Do we empower them? Do we give them the power over us to convince us that one candidate is good, one is evil, one is right, one is wrong? You need to make that decision for yourself. All I ask for me is simply this. I'll be honest with you. I'll always be honest with you. If I make a mistake, I'll own up to it. If I do something wrong, I'll own up to it. If I don't, I won't. Period. So don't give in to half-truths and lies. Ask your questions, and I'll give you a straight answer, always. But at the end of the day, this campaign and your new governor will be about lifting people up. We won't be about digging up dirt. That should tell you something about where we're at in this state. When we can't talk about policies, when we can't talk about solutions or the issues or about what we're going to do to make Washington better, the best it's ever been, the greatest it's ever been, then something's wrong. When we get so caught up in this popcorn eating drama that we're not talking about how to fix Washington, we're perpetuating more drama about breaking Washington. And hear me on this, please. Whether you're a Republican or a Democrat or an independent, understand that evil lies on both sides. Whether you call them the establishment or whatever name you want to give it, you have a group of elitists that will pay any amount of money, go as low as they need to go, to tarnish, slander, and character assassinate anyone who gets in the way of their power and control. And you need to ask yourself why. Where does the money come from? And to who they're giving that money to? Who is that individual beholding to? Because it comes with strings attached. That I promise you. And you're no fools. We're no fools. We see it. Are we going to do something about it? Or are we going to continue to give into a system that has broken our state and our nation to a precipice, to the brink of destruction? Self-governance says that we, the people, will take ownership of our own destiny, of our own state and our own nation. And now is the time. You see what's happening at the national level. They will go deep and they will go low and they will slander, prosecute. I said prosecute, didn't I? That's right. You see what's happening. It's up to us to stop it. And we do so with our actions. We do so with our votes. And we do so by not going the same path as others do. Stay positive. In the presence of darkness, we bring light. In the presence of hate, we bring love. I'm going to keep calling that message because we are doing ourselves a disservice. When they perpetuate hate and we do the same in return, we're no better than they are. So let's focus on winning. I've got to share something. My middle daughter, Kailani, she said something to me, and I want to get it right because this was just moments ago before the podcast. We were talking, and I said something about this new hit that's going to be coming out. And I said, my wife was crying earlier today. I was emotional about it. I mean, I don't want to dress it up too bad, but it's just, it gets to a point where it's like, oh my goodness, come on now. We must do better. Politics, but humanity, human decency. Come on now. We can do better. I know I said that. I almost sounded like Joe Biden. Come on now. Okay, forgive me. I'm sorry. No offense to Joe. But my daughter Kai said, save the tears for when you win and your daughters are by your side. Are you with me now? Save your tears for when you win and your daughters are by your side. How amazing would that be? When we make history in Washington State, and then there I am with my wife and my 3 beautiful daughters. And let me say, it's not about me or simply my family, but it's what we represent. You, all of you, the everyday people, the everyday worker, that person who was fallen, that person who declares themselves as someone who maybe started out behind that 8 ball, started out in poverty, started out with despair, but rose above and kept moving forward, refused to give up, that broken family, that single family, ours, a loving family. Me, the man who said abandoned his children, that deadbeat dad, me, standing with my 3 beautiful daughters, a family that loves and adores each other. That deadbeat dad and his 3 beautiful daughters. Not so deadbeat after all. We represent all of you, my friends, and everything that God has given me, I will give back. I will give back to my dying breath, to my state and to my nation. This is the state that I was raised in since a little boy. This is my home. I chose to stand and fight. And with my wife's endorsement, I used to say permission. People said, stop saying that. Well, she's my chain of command. You all know how that works. You professional husbands, you know how that works. But they were putting themselves out there. And again, today my wife cried. This is where we're at. We've got to do better. We've got to do better. We're going to talk about homeless in a second because there's a lot to talk about there. Or policies. I'm going to stop pontificating for a minute. I'm going to go to the left immediately, check in with some folks. Again, share some love. I see some beautiful people over here. Friends, hello, everybody over here. This is our chat. And again, good evening, Taylin. Good evening to my friends Dee And if I don't see you guys, there's so many. Again, forgive me if I skip you and I don't mention you, but you guys have been so wonderful. Hello, Buckley, Lori. We have, oh boy, I can say something. We have some amazing citizen soldiers, true warriors in Buckley over there. I'll just leave it at that. Gosh, so many amazing people. Who do we have? Oh, my wife's on here. Hi, baby. I love you. Who else we have? Gosh, Gail. Oh my goodness. Thank you, Gail. Gosh, we have Ad Victorian question. Simi, what are your thoughts about increasing housing inventories? We need to get back to building things. Oh, Ad Victorian. So let's get right to it. And for the rest, we're going to continue. Teresa, good to see you, my dear friend. So right there, boy, where do I start? We have a housing shortage. We have a housing affordability problem in Washington State. So much to say. I know it's about homeless, but again, we're talking policies. You need to know where I stand as the employee candidate, you being my future employers. We have a shortage of units. It's a supply and demand. When there's low supply and high demand, then that means the cost typically goes up. With any product, housing is no different. There is a brand new report that came out. I was at the Capitol yesterday, 8 hours on the road, but then you know how many hours over there in Olympia doing business, videoing and different things and interviewing. A new report came out, and it simply says this to us, if I was to summarize. We have the highest minimum wage in the nation. We have, for low-paying jobs, the highest pay. Hear me out on this. For low-paying jobs, we pay the highest among all states in the union. We're paying the highest for even low-paying jobs. So what that means, you have low shortage of units. We have the highest minimum wage. And for those low-paying jobs, those people still cannot afford to live in Washington State. Our seniors, 65 and older, are becoming the new impoverished demographic of Washington State. Out of all the demographics, Black, brown, so Black Americans, Hispanic Americans, amongst the top. Black the highest, Hispanic right there, and growing populations or demographics of the impoverished, seniors above that. So we're pricing our seniors out of our state. We are pricing small business owners out of our state because of overregulation, overtaxation. Back to the question at hand. We need to bring more units. We need to build more units. But let me say this. I've mentioned it. Those regulations, those energy codes, for the sake of climate change, those energy codes have doubled the cost of building apartment units, ERV ventilation mandates as of March 15th. It's called the 2021 Climate Code, Energy Code Change, the 2021 code change, but it just happened March 15th of 2024. I know, doesn't make sense either, but those energy code changes, insulation requirement increases. Those smart homes are not so smart for our economy, or not so smart for those people who are struggling to make ends meet. So those energy codes are now making it unaffordable to build those units. It costs twice the amount to build the units. And when you build an apartment unit that costs twice the amount, or you build a home that costs twice the amount, where does that cost transfer to? That's right, the citizens of Washington State, and makes those units unaffordable. So we talk about low-income housing, or talk about housing affordability, and we continue to throw billions of dollars at that, but yet people can't afford to live in it unless it's subsidized by the state of Washington. And where do those subsidized monies come from? You, we, the citizens of Washington State who have the jobs, who have homes that they can tax. They're trying to raise it from 1% to 3%. They've been doing that for several years now. They're going to try it again next year. Bet your bottom dollar in that. So my friend, yes, AD Victorian, yes, we need to start building. We need to deregulate. We need to recalibrate those energy codes back to common sense. so that we can lower the cost of buildings back to where it makes sense. We can still build energy efficient homes. We were doing that. We were building energy efficient homes. I know because I was building energy efficient homes. Resume item, check. Civil engineering, check. Builder, check. Understanding how labor and industries L&I can be weaponized, not just during COVID mandates and shutdowns, but also against our builders and developers. Check. We understand that. So we need to build more units. And if we build more units and we lower the cost of building those units, we will lower the cost of housing, and we will start that venture, that trek to making housing more affordable in Washington. Because no matter what we do, based on that pathway that we are on, with all this overregulation, this climate change ideology that we subscribe to, people cannot afford to live here. Young people cannot afford to live here. I talked about that last week on a podcast. Now we know statistically, which many of us who read and study every single day, we knew seniors were being priced out of their homes. Now we're saying whether you have a home or not, because now we're making it, a young person can't buy a home. You know that. You graduate from high school, you graduate from college, you can barely, high school, you can't afford an apartment unless you bring like 20 of you into one unit. Kidding, but not so much, because more statistics, more reports just came out. What, the income has to be $2,400 a month now to be able to afford a 2-bedroom apartment in the Puget Sound area? You guys get what I'm saying. I can go all day long on this. Sorry, maybe not. We need that information. You need to know. We need change. I gave you the solution. Readjust, recalibrate, deregulate, support small business owners, support more development. Readjust those energy codes down back to where we were building energy efficient homes at half the price, so we can pass those savings on, so we can start building affordable apartment units again. And I'm going to add to that, like I've said in my Solutions with Actions, let's partner with developers, partner with the building trades. Let's contract with them on their dime. Let them fill the expenses, but give a contract, state contract, long-term. That's a residual income for them. That's money over a period of time. That is a value add for them. It's a return on their investment with interest over a period of time, so that they guarantee the price of those low income housing units, but high quality, high efficiency units. There are solutions out there if you bring someone in to take the actions to facilitate those solutions. I took too long, but you needed to hear it. There's things we can do. Oh my goodness, they'll get me going. That was a good question. Don't forget, put a question at the beginning, put a question at the end. And Gail, thank you. My daughter is amazing. My 3 daughters. My oldest, Kiva, again, number 1. But whether you're number 1, 2, or 3, you're number 1 in my heart. My girls, they're amazing. I have 3 perfect daughters. I have 3 children, 3 daughters. They're all perfect, and they're amazing. They're a blessing, as well as my wife. And no, Kai is in the National Guard. So she has a heart of service. All of them, they're just beautiful hearts. They're just beautiful kids. I can't take credit for that. I'll just say that it's a blessing, but they're amazing. Let's see here. Okay, no, you guys got it. I'm just looking at all these wonderful comments, and I'm looking for questions. You guys, Delmore, my friend, it's good seeing you. Thank you very much. Roberta, you're awesome up there in Snohomish. Thank you guys so much. Stanwood, we have some great support up there. Oh my goodness, you guys. Again, we're going to get going. We're going to do more. Question. See, Siobhan literally just puts question. So do you believe in giving homeless people temporary homes for them to at least get started? No. No. The number one, or the root cause. So hey, stay with me, Siobhan, if I'm probably saying that wrong. But stay with me on this. Don't judge yet. Let me finish the statement, because the root cause, the primary root cause of homelessness right now in Washington State, it's not simply affordable housing, and it's not giving them a home. When you have an addiction and mental health issue, I can give you 3 homes. I can give you a car and put money in your bank account, and you're going to take that money and you're going to put it in your veins, you're going to put it up your nose and in your lungs, and you're going to get high because you are struggling in the darkness of addiction with a direct correlation to mental illness and or vice versa. So what we need to do is we need to have a baseline. We need to prioritize mental health and addiction treatment as a pathway to housing. And so what I would say is we're not going to give anything away except for a strategy to getting them clean and giving them their lives back. This is one of those teach them how to fish moments, and so that they can feed themselves. And that is going to start, number one, with first getting them clean. And I'm going to reveal my homelessness strategy, solutions with action. So Siobhan Lloyd, thank you so much for that question. We're not going to give physical homes no. You have to do and deal with the root cause of why they are living out in the streets. It's not a home. It's bringing a solution to getting them clean from the addiction and giving them treatment to their mental health issues. And we'll talk about that here shortly. Yes, we need to. This is why, you guys, well, again, I always go squirrel on you guys, and many of you know this. So question, and this is Mudslinger. Mudslinger, hope you're not going to throw any mud at me, but we'll see. I'm not able to find anything on current polling. How are things currently looking for our chances of giving Olympia the bird? Polls come in two categories. You have the paid for polls, which are biased because that's why you pay for a poll. Why would you pay $30,000 for a poll if you're not going to get a return on investment? Well, it's called, research methodology 101. It's how you set your research. It's how you sample. I've said this before. If I sample my immediate family, there's a good chance they're going to vote for me. If I sample my friends and family, even more sample items, sample groups, and more votes for me. You get what I'm saying? So if you sample a group that's favorable to your candidate, then those polls will give you favorable outcomes. That is typically what we see through the Echelon Insight poll and what we see through the Progressive Institute. It's going to favor progressive, left-leaning candidates based on who they sample. This is methodology 101. Not trying to disparage the polls, but that is just a fact, and I think anybody can figure that out. I believe that the best polls to utilize are straw polls, whereas people who have an interest in voting goes on Twitter, goes on Facebook, goes in any social media or any place where there's a straw poll, and they vote. Everyday, regular people who are typically going to vote, they go in and they vote. And we win 98% of those polls. That's a rough estimate, but we dominate those polls consistently. So that's how we're looking in the polls. So those other polls, people already know. When they get those phone surveys, many of you have received those calls or those text messages, but a lot of those were calls. And they said if it was between Bob Ferguson and Dave Reichert, who are you voting for? And so there's those outcomes. And then some of those polls will say if it's between the demon, Semi Bird, I'm kidding, but they'll say Trump-like or ultra mega MAGA semi. Maybe they're going to add mega MAGA misdemeanor, and then with more disgusting things, they'll add more titles to me. So then right off the bat, when you go, I don't want the devil, which again, you have a supposed party leader over there on the West Side who calls me that. And then the people who support me calls them cult followers, and I'm the cult leader. This is amazing. So that's where the polls are. Again, I probably went too far. I get a little excited. Tim, good seeing you, my friend. And Tim was talking about the Growth Management Act. What was that, 1995, where we had a Growth Management Act that says we're going to predict, and because we're going to predict growth of our populations and our populous centers, that we're going to ensure that we're ahead of the game. We're going to ensure that we manage our highway and traffic systems. We're going to manage our housing. We're going to manage that. How do you think they're doing with their Growth Management Act? I think what they did was they managed to overstep states' responsibilities and push their authorities into county and municipal governments where they have no business interfering. That's what I think that led to, where state brings down restrictions that gives a huge cost to counties, cities, and thus more taxpayer dollars at the county and city level. So think about this for a minute, you guys. Think about this. Not only are we paying state taxes in terms of our fees and our regulations and those taxes, sales taxes, etc. But then we have those county taxes and we have those city taxes. And small business owners get hit at all three levels. People don't think about that. Why are small business owners being clobbered? We're being overtaxed. And I've talked about that. We're going to have next week's podcast on economic development. So there's more coming. We're going to continue. But these amazing questions help us to understand policies and where we stand on things so that you guys understand. So the Growth Management Act, it continues to grow in terms of its overreach of state authority, but really has done nothing, in my opinion, to fix or to help our growth and development as a state in terms of managing our highway systems, because we are $1 billion in debt right now. The Washington State Department of Transportation just reported we need $1 billion of your money because our bridges and our roadways are in a state of disrepair, and we need that money to fix them. And many of us are saying, well, haven't we been, even before this Climate Commitment Act, that needs to be repealed? It'll be on your ballot in November. We'll be talking a lot about that on that journey to that general election and supporting that ballot measure. We need to repeal that. That's why your gas prices and your diesel prices and so much. We've been paying gas tax for a long time. And before that Climate Commitment Act, those monies went to the highways, supposedly. But look at your highways. So what were they doing with the money? And I asked directly to one of the leaders of that department. I said, do you have a strategy, a strategic plan? And again, I won't disparage the response, but the answer is no. So there's that. And in a moment, I'm going to break from here, and I'm going to go to the written questions, which we had to access online, which are okay. Haven't seen them yet, so that'll be a surprise. Question: are there options to expand the state hospital and force people into treatment, custody, or have courts, laws make that impossible? So you have two statutes in Washington State. One is for what we call the forensic institutionalized, aka the criminally institutionalized, so by court because of a crime they've committed. And then you have some that are voluntary. You have some that were family because the individuals can't live on their own. They are a danger to themselves, but they haven't committed any crime. Those individuals, groups that fall under that statute, for some time now, they have been taken out of like Eastern State Hospital, Western State Hospital, and have been put into senior living spaces. Spaces, and those state hospital systems have been utilized for the forensic institutionalized, so the criminally institutionalized. And there's more rumors out there because Western State Hospital lost, $53 million in federal funding because they were so ill-maintained and did not comply with federal requirements of quality. Yeah, $53 million. But no, we'll just tax you. And there's more to be said on that. And so, my friends, so much to be said. And again, guys, I'm going to always look for the short and the questions. Okay, I'm going to pause. I'm going to go. I'm going to bring up my... Boy, there's a bright screen. Okay, this comes from Nola. What would you do about squatters? And so we need to have a law. And so there's an initiative that is probably going to be written. There's been so much that has been done this year. You know, you can thank State Representative Jim Walsh for that, and I will say Let's Go Washington for their work. Brian Haywood, who funded much of this. There's a lot, and then all of you who signed those initiatives. That's why we have police pursuit that's coming back. That's why we are valuing parents' rights by letting parents know what happens to their children. If their children are making decisions about their life at a very young age, we're at least letting parents know where their children are or what they're doing, not trying to interfere with their counseling or mental health, but at least letting parents know what's going on with their own children. And by the way, some progressive left organizations have now filed a lawsuit trying to block that initiative that was passed through legislature recently, thanks to those initiatives, giving parents rights as the primary stakeholders in their children's upbringing. You now have progressive organizations that says, no, block that. Are you hearing this? We've come so far, and when I say far, not necessarily in a good way, to where we cannot value parents' rights, the primary stakeholders, the ones who give birth and love and caring to these children, that they want to know what's happening with their own child when they're at school. It's gone too far. It's gone too far. And so now this left-leaning organization is trying to bring a lawsuit to undermine that initiative to support parents' rights. And I'm hoping Attorney General Bob Ferguson will litigate that and protect that lawfully passed initiative, that lawfully passed through legislature, that will be becoming law in a matter of days. I'm hoping Attorney General Ferguson will support that lawfully passed initiative supporting parents' rights. I'm hoping. You always have to have hope, my friends. So what about squatters? Sorry, Nola. Yeah, we need a law. We need a bill to protect property owners from individuals who just think that they can walk into someone's private property, take it over, and stay. And do whatever they want to. It's not theirs. They just walk in and they stay. And they say, well, we'll call ourselves a squatter, and there it is. No, you're trespassing, and then it becomes criminal trespass, and then you are removed by law enforcement. That's how it should work. And the law should point that out very clear and very simple. So we will bring an initiative, or we will bring a law. And if it's not in place, which I don't think it will be by the time I'm in office, well, then I will champion a bill to bring accountability so that we will no longer have people violate property owners' rights. And we should also have in that bill that holds tenants accountable and responsible for when they overstay their welcome, meaning they've been lawfully evicted, that if they destroy a unit, a property, that they will be held accountable for that destruction of private property. I said destruction of private property. So we need to tweak some laws for people who do wrong to other people. It's just accountability. Operant conditioning, B.F. Skinner. We negative reinforcement. If we stop holding people accountable, if we let people continue to violate the law and encroach on other people's rights, then we're saying it's okay. It's kind of like that question. If you can rob a bank and you know you can get away with it and no one will do anything about it, would you rob a bank? Sadly enough, some people will. I can rob a bank and get away with it and keep the money, and there's no consequences for my actions. Sadly enough, there are people, because of that incentivization, they will do it. We must disincentivize bad behavior, and we do that through law and accountability of law. There's that. Prosecutors, judges, there we go. So that's what I would do. And again, there it is. I didn't even see this. Renters allowed to remain. I didn't even further read this. And there it is. And so, yes, landlords are being crushed. And we talk about putting caps on rent. Luckily, that those initiatives have been failing, or not even initiatives, but those changes have been failing, because those things, well, the market vets itself out. I know I'm a property owner. The market vets that out. You have to stay competitive. You have to stay competitive. So you'll keep your prices adjusted to stay competitive. So no, it goes the other way. It goes the other way. We have to maintain the rights of property owners. And yes, we should start talking about lowering taxes and incentivize those property owners so we can bring more units on the market, because we have a shortage of units. That's right. Let's incentivize that. Lower taxes, deregulate. Let's open up opportunities. Some people have space on their own properties. You want to talk about building a small home or a mini home. If you have the space on your property, again, the governor will not encroach on city or municipal or county codes, but it should be something we can incentivize so that property owners can bring more housing units to bear without, again, destroying the aesthetics or the value of neighborhoods. I'm saying that. Min says, what is your view about housing shortage and housing affordability? Well, we did that. And we talked about squatters and do you support rent control? And I just talked about that. So, men, we were with you. See, this just goes to show we don't pre-screen our questions. Elizabeth, can you share specific actions you will take to force the removal of mainly illegal parked RVs and people living in cars? Yeah, no. Oh, yes, we will. We're going to get into, Elizabeth, that'll be answered when we talk about homelessness, which I will, and that'll be coming up. I'm going to make sure we have time to talk about that. My solutions with action, my policies on homelessness in Washington State. And Elizabeth, I promise that we'll answer that question. Dina, what are your views on current executive orders 17-01 of the Governor Inslee placed back in February 2017, especially for illegal immigrants who commit crimes and sneak back into Washington, not being held accountable? So we have laws right now that says Washington State will not cooperate with ICE and federal authorities to bring accountability to illegal immigrants who commit crimes in Washington State. That needs to be reversed. And so that'll probably be another initiative unless we get in office and then we bring or propose a law. Again, the governor can propose bills to the legislature and champion those bills with the support of citizens. And so I've already shared my approach to this is first put out my copy, my draft of the bill out to the public so the public knows what I'm bringing to the legislature. And so we get their support behind it. They can let their representatives and senators know that they support this bill that the governor is going to be bringing forward. And so it puts the pressure on those representatives to get behind that bill, like bringing back the $30 tabs that should have been in place. We can thank Mr. Ferguson and Mr. Inslee for that. Not blaming them, but we should have honored the wishes of our citizens. And so we're going to bring that back as well. So hopefully I answered your question. Yeah, that'll be an initiative. If not, it needs to be a law. I told everyone I will declare, and that's my executive authority. It's not abuse of power. Don't be afraid. That was what it took to declare us a sanctuary state. Well, I'm just going to undeclare it. We will not be a sanctuary state. Compassion is not opening your house up to feed everyone when you can't even feed your own family. We have people right here in Washington State, people living, our seniors, certain demographics of our own community, our own citizens living at or below the poverty line, and that group is growing larger. We need to feed our own people. We need to take care of our own people in Washington State before we start opening it up for people who are illegally in our country. That's not being incompassionate. It's being compassionate to our citizens. Washington first is where I'm at. There's nothing discriminatory about that, but everything in advocacy of our citizens. Okay. I think I answered that. Also for victims who are currently have no contact orders, restraining orders, that's outside of my lane of control as governor, and I'm a constitutionalist. And so that is citizens holding your county officials accountable. Also think about your judges who you elect, right? Those prosecutors, those county prosecutors who you elect. We need to think about that, and it's your vote. So organize and take action at that self-governance. That is the phrase, self-governance. That is the phrase that pays, and that is something I will say over and over and over again, allowing them to renew these orders without having them paying the costs. Yeah, no, there's a lot to be said in that, and I'm sure it could be Deanna, but if I say Dina or Deanna, no offense if I'm mispronouncing. Mitch, what is your approach towards homeless crisis? We're going to talk about that. It's obvious the current lack of leadership has no clue how to deal with it. I would agree with you on that. In fact, strongly believe the Democrats of the state encourage homelessness with failed policies, soft on crime, and free stuff programs. I'm inclined to agree. Again, that's not calling anybody names, but you have one party in control, and that party continues to perpetuate and bring about these laws. The housing problem we have in Washington State, the overtaxation problem we have in Washington State, this energy code, climate commitment act in Washington State, gas prices and diesel prices going through the roof. The fact that we can't afford to live in Washington State unless you have a lot of money or earning a very good living, that came from career politicians. Typically, those career politicians are of one party, and I'm not that guy. Like I said before, most of my family are Democrats. I love them with all of my heart, and I would die for them. So I don't call Democrats names. I don't. And it's not all. So that's why we don't do that to our fellow citizens. Say, you're a Democrat, you're bad. I do not believe that. But when we talk about our legislatures, they're making bad decisions. They're making bad decisions. I've seen Republicans make very bad decisions. And when we talk about emergency powers, who do you think gave Jay Inslee the right to extend his powers past 30 days? Those were Republicans and Democrats that did that. So we can blame Jay all we want to, but the way he got his powers to extend those emergency to continue with his mandates, that's right, his edicts, if you will, that's because those legislatures on both party sides. And I'll say this again, the establishment of both parties, and people don't like when I say that word establishment. Someone has recently in my own party has used that against me. He says establishment to divide us. Well, you know what? I'll call it what it is. I don't care whether you're a Republican or a Democrat. If you are bringing bad legislature, if you are doing things that holds us back and compromises our constitutional rights, you can call yourself whatever you want to, but I'll call you out on it. So there's that. Kathy, could you elaborate more on your ideas? Okay, we got to get into homeless. I want to see if there's anything else. What can be done to stop WashNet from doing road work during busy commute time on the highway? Mark, I've got you. That should be organized. It should be strategized so that we're doing it in the low traffic hours. There's times where you just got to shut it down for a period of time, but it should be in the lowest traffic times. And there's things that we can do. We can partner. So, you have federal controlled transportation ways, but there's a lot we can do at the state side, specifically if it's WDOT. Yeah, WDOT. Yeah, we can do that. So, again, so much to be done, and we're going to stop here. I'm going to go back to the screen. Guys, bear with me. If I'm missing a lot of your questions, I want to make sure we have time to talk about homelessness. And then we're going to move on. Okay, you guys, are you with me? And so I'm going to scan down because I'm sure I'm missing a lot over here. You guys are having a conversation here. Good. You guys keep yourself going over there. I want to talk to you guys here. And so my friends, I've had a homelessness solutions with actions that have been out since last year. Same with my law and order plan, or some people call it a public safety plan. It's been out. My public safety plan's been out since August 24th of 2023, last year. Homelessness even before then. I mentioned publicly that I'm going to activate the National Guard to support our plan for homelessness. I said that I will utilize executive authority to bring solutions with actions, to bring compassion, and to address the homeless problem that we have in Washington State. So I want to assure you of a couple things. Number one, I did an interview, I think it was just yesterday, with King 5, and the gentleman continued to try to say, so your words, no, not my words, your words. My words are saying the National Guard, civil engineers, those engineers, horizontal and vertical, these are professionals with the equipment and the expertise to clear 10, 20 acres of state land out rural from the city, clear that land, and bring in the infrastructure, right? The facility infrastructure for a comprehensive inpatient care program to treat mental health and addiction, because our current infrastructure in Washington State is insufficient and not capable of dealing with the demand once we start executing on bringing a solution to actually deal with getting people off the streets. And it's not putting people with uniforms and guns in the streets. Not at all. No, that's not what I'm saying. So I wanted to break that rumor. We're not doing that. So the National Guard's role in this is simply in supporting the initiative to bring that infrastructure away from the city in an area where we have modular, we have field hospital systems that are modular and they're state of the art. It's amazing. That is true compassion. State of the art dental facilities, healthcare facilities, with the military occupational specialties of our National Guard. You have not only the top quality of patient care, mental health, you have regular health, you have dental, we have addiction treatment professionals, all phases of psychological treatment, all of that within those military occupational specialties. So imagine if we bring those resources forward. That is just the boost that we need. Because you cannot bring a person in, just give them Suboxone and methadone and release them back out to the communities that are perpetuating them in that misery and homelessness and crime and being sexually assaulted and victimized. You cannot do that. It needs to be a comprehensive inpatient program. I hope you're with me on this. We have a budget for the National Guard. Many of you have seen the commercials. 1 week in a month, 2 weeks of the summertime. We already have a budget. So imagine when they go for their weekend duty once a month, them supporting this project. Truly an amazing initiative. That's something to be proud of, to support that operation. So not on the streets with them, no uniforms in the streets, no guns in the streets. That's what I was talking about. And think of the savings. We've paid billions of dollars for failed homeless programs in Washington State, your taxpayer dollars. This is going to be at a fraction of the cost. Now let's talk about authorities, because people said, well, Semi Bird, he's talking about, oh my gosh, emergency powers just like Jay Inslee. Semi Bird is no better. My friends, you have a couple laws. And again, feel free to fact check me because I'm using my own fact check here. 43.06.10, I believe it's subsection 12, which simplifies the elements that you can utilize or factors you can utilize for declaring a state of emergency or utilizing an executive authority. Life, health, public order. Does our homeless crisis fall under those categories? I believe so. And so that is that nexus. But under 43.06.220, you have two key sections of that. One that Jay Inslee used. One suspends public movement or activity. The other one suspends statutory changes. He suspended that. And you can only do that for up to like 30 days. But in order for him to go past that, he had to get the permission of either the Senate minority leadership or Senate leadership or House leadership. He had to get their support, and that's if the legislature is out of session. He has to get their approval, or if in session, he needs to get the approval of the legislature to extend. He literally had to get the buy-in and support from the legislature to have those endless emergency powers. What was it, like 900 days or something? And he didn't want to give it back. So he didn't just take that by law. He had to get your elected officials to buy in and support it, Republicans and Democrats alike. That's how he was able to abuse his authority for all that time. He was given those powers to do it. So, again, not trying to give him an out card. Yeah, those mandates were not constitutional. A mandate is not a law. So what I'm proposing is under the law. It's not extending the law or manipulating the law no, it's what the law says I can do. And it's a limit to that. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm proposing, my friends. And so the budget, again, it's already there. And it's not going to be billions of dollars like we've already spent. So that's what I'm proposing. That's what I'm trying to bring forward to you guys, is to bring a common sense solution. And so by doing that, we're not going to force people. You're not going to go out and say, rounding them up and throwing them in jail or throwing them on McNeil Island or not throwing them in prison. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. But you cannot live on the streets. It's illegal. It's illegal. And so in order to remove, by law, in order to remove people, you have to be able to have a housing alternative. Guess what? With this initiative, with this solution, there's a housing alternative, plus a compassionate one. So imagine this. We get them clean from addiction and patient care. We are with them as we're calibrating their prescriptions, whether it's Suboxone, which I'm more of a fan of that than methadone, because methadone is so highly addictive, and sometimes it replaces an opioid. In this case, fentanyl is the out of control, right? So we get them clean, under care, with good nutrition, in a good environment, and support. We do this. Imagine bringing them training and certification programs. And so when they graduate our inpatient program, they graduate this program with a certification and a trade And we are partnering with our small business community who has been screaming for more support, more employees who want to work, qualified and trained employees. We partner with them to hire our citizens who are now back. And on Monday, they report to work and then to transitional housing because they're clean, they're trained, and they're ready to go. And then they become taxpayers. Do you see this positive cycle? We've created a light at the end of the tunnel. Our citizens are back. They're back with their families who love them. And I've shared my story that I lost my nephew just over a year ago. So many other families would say, please put my child in jail. I'd rather them be in jail and I know that they're alive and well than dying on the streets. What we are presenting is a real alternative with a fraction of the cost. And we're actually doing something. No more broken trailers or vans or cars where people are dying and living in the streets in that darkness of addiction, uncontrollable darkness. Committing crimes or being abused themselves. Shameful. 21st century. Modern day society, not so modern. It's wrong. So we as a society, I hope you partner with me for a real solution. And we're going to clean up our streets. It's going to be so beautiful, you guys. And how good will it feel to give lives back? So there's the program. I'm sure you guys have some questions over there. Someone says, Kanchma, how do you think we solve the House-Senate problem? Again, there's some other statement there, Eagle Scout. The House-Senate problem. Well, if you ask me a straight question, I'll give you a straight answer. I don't know how to read that. If you think that there's a problem with too many Democrats in the House or Senate, if that's what you're saying, which I don't know, then vote. But here's my solution. Imagine a governor, and yes, I do identify as a Republican. I have been so for my entire life. I'm more of a Reconstruction Republican. That Republican that would have supported women's rights if I was alive during that time, civil rights, and I was alive at that time, just a wee lad. Parents' rights, I'm alive and well, and I have been supporting parents' rights. Citizens' constitutional rights, that's what I stand for. I don't care what your party is, but I think once people see our solutions with actions and they see that we're cleaning up the streets, they see that we're enforcing the rule of law, they see that change with their own eyes, that you actually have a governor that's working for all citizens of Washington State, improving our school system, giving parents back their natural right to love their children and to protect the innocence of their children. It doesn't matter what your party is, but I think the candidates that I'm going to be supporting for future House and Senate positions that I believe will support our movement of beautifying our state, which is naturally beautiful, the most beautiful state in the union, but keeping our streets clean, improving our infrastructure, fixing our highway system, right? Lowering taxes. Oh my goodness, you guys. Prosperity does a wonderful thing to people. Closing that income gap does a wonderful thing to the hearts and minds of voters. So there's my solution. Let's demonstrate. Fact and non-verba, deeds, not words. Let's demonstrate what we can do with the Byrd administration. And then let me endorse and support quality candidates for office and then continue to bring those solutions. And then I retire because I'm not a politician, nor do I want to be in politics for an endless amount of time. I'm here to do a job. I'm applying for a position. You're the employees. That's who I work for, all of you. This is part of my application program. And I'll be applying for the job every week as long as I'm not on the road. I'll be here applying. I just want you to know how I think, what I'm going to do, what my solutions are, because I'm going to be answering to you. And I want you to have all the information and tools that you need. Marina, it's good seeing you. Many of the homeless are from other states. When they get clean, they have hope for the future. A lot will hopefully go home to their families. I mean, yeah, think about that. I mean, it's homelessness, illegal immigration. If you know you can come to a state and you can receive handouts and you can have your addiction facilitated, given money and given a mini house, why wouldn't you want to be here? I'm out there a lot, and one of the gentlemen, very clear mind, says, no, I can get my hustle in here, which again, he steals. I mean, seems like a very nice man, but he steals, and very lucid, but he's a fentanyl addict. And he says, no, law enforcement, this was back before the police pursuit. We still have a few more days left. He says, they don't stop me. People don't do anything about it. And if I get arrested, I'm out. So again, we have a system that perpetuates the despair that we're living in. We're going to change that system. That's what I'm saying. Performance improvement, system change is what we need. Not simple fixes. It's not like talking points. It's actually solutions. Solutions with actions. That's what we need to do. So that's what I'm at, you guys. That's where I'm at. And thank you, Eagle Scout. Thank you very much. I appreciate you guys. Kyle, good seeing you, my friend. Kyle's replying to someone else. I'm just going to scroll up a little bit, you guys. But I'm going to say all about a couple of polls predicting Hillary would win. She was electable. Trump was not. Yeah. So James said something. I'm not sure if James was talking to someone, and this is good. James makes a good point. So James, I think it was 15 and 16, but 16 the election, I believe. So James is making a point, you guys. I don't know who he's talking to. Maybe it was me. I'm just kind of jumping in the middle of a conversation here. But when you hear people talking about who's electable and who's not electable, and again, people try to tie, I'm sure people to Biden, people to President Trump, or President Biden, give him his proper title. Again, they do that usually for their own reasons. Some are legitimately and positive, and some are unlegitimately negative. And let me just say, I'm voting for President Trump for all the right reasons. Best policies, best programs, and he demonstrated. And I've said, we have different communication styles and we have different leadership styles. But that is someone who I believe in my heart is not bought by any system and will hold ground to fix the nation. I'm not here to pontificate or to campaign for President Trump. I'm just simply saying so that everybody knows, so that media or anybody else doesn't spin it. That's who I'm voting for. That's who I voted for the primary, and that's who I'll be voting for the general. So I want you to know this up front so it's out there. And again, my communication style, my leadership style is different. Everybody's different. I'm just different. But that's who I'm voting for, plain and simple. There it is. So no spin, no waffling or wavering back and forth. There's two choices. This one is absolutely not. And this one is absolutely because I've seen his actions, and then I saw what happened when he was not there. And I'm not doing that again. He was deemed unelectable. He was deemed nefarious. And look how they've come after him. I'm just saying, I'm not about seeing people. And that would be the same for President Biden. Or Dave Reichert, and even Bob Ferguson. I don't subscribe to people throwing shade and attacking people and trying to ruin people. That's evil. I don't care whether you're a Democrat, an independent, Republican, Martian. It does not matter. Stop doing that to people. And it's not just because they're doing it to me. And by the way, those are Republicans that are doing it to me. That's not even the Democrat machine. So Republicans, when you pontificate and you get in your Republican Kool-Aid drinking bandwagon, think about that. It's not a matter of party, good party, bad party. It's a matter of the Constitution. It's a matter of human decency. We need to get back to the Constitution, human decency, civility, and America. That's what we need to get back to. America is for everyone. That blessing of liberty. I'm going over in time, but I'm going to stay for a minute. If you guys are cool with that, I want to stay for a minute because it was a bad day for me. But it's always a good day when you have a beautiful family and you're loved and your belief and your faith is strong, the highest protection you can ever have. And you have amazing supporters like I have, an amazing campaign team. I'm a very blessed man. And I hope that you guys understand that and that you never give up hope. Do not be guided or dissuade. Have faith and never give up. Because as soon as we give up on what we know in our heart is right, that's when we start to lose. It's been going on too long. That's why they must break us. That's why they must remove us. Again, remember, they couldn't buy me hundreds of thousands of dollars in an account for Byrd for lieutenant governor. That broker deal didn't go through. But those individuals are all over social media slandering me, attacking me. No, and I haven't outed their names. Well, not completely. And then their open letter. You all know the journey, and they're not going to stop. They're going to attack everything that they can attack. Watch. Next, they're going to come after my wife or my children, more so than they already have, because they know how protective I am of my family. And they started it with their deadbeat dad and child support and all this other stuff. I want you to look at people who do things like that. Attack my policies, please. By all means, hold me accountable. That's what I'm signing up for. And I'm not, man doesn't scare me or intimidate me. I almost feel bad for them, which is, again, shame, but pray for them. And as I said before, I will forgive them because I don't wear that in my heart. They have no ownership here. There's no space. That belongs to something much greater. So I'm not here to preach. You have to accept that on your own. And it's a good thing. All right. I'm going to do this. Let's see here. Bum, 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 bum. That was the Star Trek thing. Okay. All right. Tony, will you accept the outcome of the forthcoming elections, federal, state, local? Well, of course. Yeah. I don't. I'm for solutions, which is why I'm bringing in an election integrity bill. Voter ID, clean up the voter rolls. No more motor voter. That ERIC system is faulty and broken. In-person voter, same day. Paper ballots. Have a holiday for voting so that people can be, yeah, we can fix those things. But I'm not an election denier. So for all those people, and they keep doing that. I keep getting asked, is President Biden our rightfully, he's in the White House. Dude's living there, been living there for a few years now, doing all kinds of stuff. Not really helping our nation, in my opinion, but I'm not going to ever disrespect our president of the United States. I just don't roll that way, you guys. So again, not to try to offend anybody on either side of the aisle, but yeah, no. So then someone says, can I count on you not to follow New Republican, neoconservative? I don't, those are even big words for me. I'm kidding. I'm being sarcastic there. Playbooks. So no, I don't concern myself with that. I self-govern. So if for some reason President Trump doesn't win the election, I'm here to self-govern, and then I'm here to, again, do everything in my power to bring forth another candidate and vote and be active and get out there to do everything I can in my community to bring about change. That's self-governance. That's what I'm about. Control what you can control. So I don't wear those labels well. I don't subscribe to those labels. What are you going to do to bring our state back in line with the Constitution? Oh my goodness, Tex, everything. You guys have to understand this. Whether you agree with my policies or not, it's the Constitution and the law. So the Constitution is the supreme law of the land, Article 1, Section 1. And that's where I lie. It is the baseline and foundation of my governance. It's the United States Constitution and the Washington State Constitution. And if that means protecting things that I don't personally agree with, then that's what it means. It's the Constitution. And someone asks me all the time, and I'm going to tell them all the time, I may not agree with the law at all, and there's laws I don't agree with, but it doesn't say and give me the authority to take a person's constitutional rights away. That's not my authority, and it's wrong, and I don't subscribe to it. A tyrant is a tyrant, whether you call yourself a Democrat or Republican. No, we're going to protect constitutional rights. It's Article 1, Section 1, to maintain and to protect the individual rights of our citizens. That's what Governor Bird will do. Not take it away, not with mandates, not with edicts. No. Any executive action or authority that I take is to enforce our laws, not to take away the rights of citizens, even the homeless. It's to bring compassion. I'm just simply saying you cannot live on the streets, defecate on the streets, and urinate. You cannot do drugs which cause harm to others next to people on a bus or in public right there. We're not allowing the breaking of laws anymore. We're going to beautify our state, but we also don't want to give up on you. We're going to actually bring compassion and love back and give you that opportunity to get clean from that darkness. And so we're going to invest in you, and we're going to actually save billions of dollars in doing so for our state. So it really is a win-win-win. Win for our homeless citizens and our family members. It's going to be a win for the rest of tax-paying citizens. It's going to be a win for everyone. So that's where I'm at. Always the Constitution. This is a scenario this person says about constitutional rights. I'm one of the many people in Washington State who's a small-scale forestry owner, okay? When we built our home on acreage, we were able to use the lumber for our property 45 years ago and put solid wood beams. We milled. I think this is amazing throughout our house. We would like to build a new house, but now we're told we can't use any of the lumber in our own property. I think that's nonsense. It seems like an extreme violation of your property. I agree 100%. And what would your solution to be? Susie, this is your property. What you do with your property is your business. As long as you're not doing anything outside of parameters of compromise, I'm even going to watch myself in this because it's your property. Now, there's laws. But again, what you're describing here tells me that if there's a law preventing you from to be able to cut and use your own timber and your own land to do beams in your house of building your house, I have a problem with that because there's been an overreach for too long in Washington State. And we need to bring common sense back and support the rights of our citizens. There's a give and take, but it's got to get back to common sense. So, Susie, I support what you're talking about. I really do. And it's not one thing or another. We are going to restore the law, Teresa. We really are. And it's not taking away other people's rights. It's protecting the rights of everybody. It really is. And everybody has a right to live safely in this state. That is just the right thing to do. Build back better as a... No, gosh, that phrase, that's a what do they call those trigger words? So if elected, will you look into misappropriation of government? Oh my goodness, in Washington State. So I'm going to do a sneak ahead. This is for Righteous Flood Media. Boy, that's a beautiful question. And the answer is absolutely yes on day one. I've mentioned this, you guys. I just did a press release. We're going to be talking about this, but this is worth a couple minutes. My friends, on day one, I will be calling for a third-party audit of all state programs and all state offices. And I want you to understand, do not be afraid of this. This is not hundreds of millions of dollars. This is not, a crazy plan to have one-sided bias and fire. No. I'm a performance consultant, a business consultant. So my only strategy and goal is to make our state government perform more effectively and more efficiently to save millions, I dare say billions of dollars for taxpayers with the goal of bringing tax relief because I believe that we are wasting billions of taxpayer dollars. Our administration has doubled the budget. Jay Inslee has doubled the budget in the last 10 years. The budget is $71.5 billion, almost $72 billion. He doubled that budget in 10 years. So think about that. Think about that. Homelessness, up 23%. Last year I predicted it would be up 25% when people said, no, it's only maybe 10% at best. Turns out I was off by 2 percentage points. Not bad. Not bad. I'm pretty much on point for the amount of money that we're wasting because there's no accountability for how we spend money. We have the highest liquor tax in the nation. We have a gambling tax. We have a marijuana tax. Where is all the money going? The gas tax that we had before the climate commitment tax. We talked about that. Where is that money going? Where's the accountability? How is it being spent? How are those programs performing? Have you seen a strategic plan? Where is it on the website? Where are the measuring? Where are the key performance indicators that measures those performance goals? Where is that in terms of transparency? Where can you go and look at it? Well, under our administration, once we're done with that audit, we're going to see where the money's going. We're going to identify it. We're going to code it. We're going to be transparent with it. All the findings that we have from that audit, we're going to post it. And then for every finding, we're going to have a solution with action and a timeline for completing it. It's called transparency and accountability of government. That action of that audit will save us billions of dollars so that we can take the savings, reallocate funds to support new technology for law enforcement tracking systems, right? Drones to support law enforcement. And don't want no one read into that. We're going to be looking at your bedroom windows and looking for a reason to arrest you in your home, in your bedroom. No, please don't do that. But that's where those funds will come from, supporting recruitment and retention of law enforcement because we have the lowest number of law enforcement professionals of any state in the union per capita. Supporting development so that we can partner with those builders and get more units in the market. I mean, the money we can save, and then giving that tax relief, refunds back to taxpayers. We have been taxing you too much. How about this as an idea, you guys? Now that we are running more effectively and more efficiently, wouldn't it be nice if we don't need to toll the roads that you need to take to get from point A to point B so that you can earn a living or to make a living or transport our goods from A to B? Does that make sense? It's like we create the problem, we perpetuate the problem, and we support the problem so that we can create these industrial complexes for others to get wealthy and rich while the rest of the state pays for it. I'm here to stop that from happening. And so the return on investment, just from bringing accountability through an audit. We had a school district in Moses Lake that found that they oopsed on $11 million and started laying off teachers. In King County, within one of their major offices, tens of millions of dollars, as I understand it. Again, I don't want to give the number because I'm waiting for the numbers to come out. And they're probably out. I just have to research deeper. Because an audit uncovered that. So when you have a $71.5 billion budget that was just doubled in 10 years, that should tell you something. That is not how efficient organizations work or perform. And when you see for yourself that we've created a new class of poverty on different demographics, schools that are asking for more money, but yet they're canceling programs for gifted students, they're laying off teachers and educators, and they're asking for more money. And yet their performance records, the schools are not performing to performance outcomes. There's no academic excellence. In fact, their grade is failing when you average all the school district scores. The amount of students who met grade level standards, below 50% when you average that out. Well below. But yet we're graduating them at an 83% rate at a cost of $18,698 per student. Education's number one in our budget. 44% of our state budgets, 44% of $71.5 billion on an education system that is failing. Does that make sense to any of you out there? Our highway systems, you drive in it, you see it. I'm just saying. So is it worth it to do that audit to find out where the money's going? And then, again, bring common sense governance, effectiveness, performance strategic plans with key performance indicators, measurement of success, and be transparent to the taxpayers who are paying for government and paying for those salaries. Accountability and transparency, I think, is the least we can do in state government. We work for you. They work for us. That's all I'm saying. Greatest return on investment, my friends. And it's not politics. It's performance. It's accountability. So I'm going to wrap up, you guys. And I said this the other day. I said, right now, this administration, and Bob Ferguson, again, I'm not hating on Bob. It's not my style. But I see what Jay Inslee did, Bob, and again, the majority in our House and Senate, when you pass laws to lower a standard to say, well, you know what, you don't have to have a law degree to practice. You don't have to pass a bar. You know, we're going to give certifications. We're going to give licensing out. Even if you're an illegal immigrant, it doesn't matter. We'll give you a license. We'll let you practice. We'll let you, the standard of performance, the standard of quality. What happens when you do that? So instead of lowering the standard and raising the cost, how about we lower the cost and raise the standard? Am I wrong on this? If the services are for you, the taxpayer, don't you want to get what you're paying for? Lowering the standards does no one any good. And when you say you're doing that for equity, please stop looking at people who may look different than you do, like there's something wrong with them, that they need you to give them handouts. No, we don't. They are just as capable and equal to the task. Break down barriers, bring in quality education, make sure that everyone has access. That's called equality, not equity. Merit, not quota. So we're going to bring common sense. We're going to stop paying people enough money to keep them poor for the rest of their lives. We're going to stop creating generations of poverty. We're going to close that wealth gap. And that's not by taking from the rich and giving to the poor. That's not why wealth distribution. No, this is America. Entrepreneurship, growth. Teach them how to fish. Give them a trade. And we're going to start that in middle school. I'm just saying, there's nothing we can't do. This is America. Okay, my friends, I'm going to ask you to do something. I'd like you to go to birdforgovernor.com. And if you believe that we have a plan for Washington, I'd like you to go to birdforgovernor.com and donate. Give what you can. Over the last week, our donations have been going up. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for subscribing. Please subscribe. Tell everyone you can about Bird for Governor. And no matter what you hear, no matter what they throw, understand that they're doing this to get rid of us. We're over the objective. So they're going to keep firing. And there's no depth to which they will go to attack us and to remove us. But guess what? I'm not going anywhere. We are not going anywhere. My family is in this to the very end. And especially what my daughter texted me earlier. Again, we're going to save the tears to where we're all together. My family and I standing strong together to represent all of you. Everything that God's given me, I will share selflessly in this servant leadership position to make our state, my home, the greatest it's ever been. God bless you all. God bless Washington, and stay strong, you guys. We'll talk to you next week. Thanks, everybody.